fictional art for entertainment.
So imagine you're stepping up to a podium, right? And you've just finished 17 grueling years of continuous study.
Which is, I mean, a massive chunk of a person's life.
Oh, absolutely. It's your entire youth. And you haven't just scraped by either. You've actually outperformed like 90% of your peers.
Right.
You are standing there top decile of class 2436 at Moonterra Gov University.
That's a huge achievement.
It is. And on top of that, there's this intense family pressure. You are the first male in your family to graduate from anything in over 2 centuries.
200 years of building up to this exact moment.
Exactly. So your whole life, the entire trajectory of your family's hopes, is culminating right now. You're about to receive your societal placement.
The big payoff.
Yeah, but instead of a celebration, this localized algorithm just scans your cognitive profile, spots your dyslexia and ADHD, and labels you an insurmountable operational liability.
Just completely writes you off.
Yep. It legally exiles you to a quote-unquote state of exclusion for the next 13 years.
It really forces us to ask, what kind of civilization does that?
Right. Like, what's the logic there?
I mean, what kind of society possesses the resources to educate a citizen for nearly 2 decades, only to instantly discard them the moment their neurochemistry doesn't perfectly align with some standardized corporate syntax?
It's just wild.
The economic and psychological inefficiencies of a choice like that are just staggering.
Which is exactly why we are taking a deep dive into the latest chapters of the Ambassador Alex story today. So welcome, everyone, to a brand new session of Ambassador Alex's Book Club.
So glad to be here.
We're basically functioning as 2 dedicated book club members today, sitting down to review the audio podcast chapters of this ongoing sci-fi narrative.
It's been such a great ride so far.
Oh, totally. And specifically, we're tackling Chapter 1, which is called Alex Green, Working Around the Glitches, and Chapter 2, Alex Green, Gut Feeling Over a Manual.
But before we really dissect the architecture of this world, we should probably establish the parameters of our discussion and, handle a bit of channel logistics for the folks listening.
Yeah, let's get that out of the way.
For those of you tracking the release schedule with us, new chapters of the Ambassador Alex story are posted every single Monday at 7:00 p.m.
Mark it on your calendar, guys. Monday, 7:00 p.m.
Consistently.
And as we get into this review, we really want you to be active participants in the book club. Give this video a thumbs up or a thumbs down to support the project.
Yeah, we really use that feedback.
We do. Also, if you haven't ventured into the description below yet, you are seriously missing out on the channel's custom music and art playlists.
They are so good.
They really are. They serve as this phenomenal immersive companion to the audio podcast chapters. And naturally, please hit subscribe to show your support for the ongoing story.
Absolutely. So let's outline our analytical approach for today's deep dive. We're splitting our focus to cover both the micro and the macro elements of these chapters.
Yeah, and I am taking the micro. My mission today is to focus intensely on our protagonist, Alex Green.
The human element.
Exactly.
Right.
I really want to unpack that deeply human aspect of his journey, the friction of his neurodivergence and the sheer emotional toll of navigating a world that just point blank refuses to accommodate him.
And my mission is to pull back a bit. I want to examine the echo of this universe, like the algorithmic reverberations, the rigid logic systems, and the broader technological landscape that dictates the entire flow of human capital.
So the big picture stuff.
Right. I want to look at the machines and that invisible bureaucracy governing literally every breath these citizens take.
Well, then let's start with the crushing weight of that institutional friction. Because in Chapter 1, we're introduced to Alex at Moonterra Gov University.
And that's where we get that massive 17-year educational pipeline you mentioned.
Yeah, and we see him graduating in the top 10%. We feel that generational pressure. I mean, his mother's pride that he's the first male on her side to graduate in 200 years.
It's heavy. It's so heavy. But then the revelation of his 13-year state of exclusion, it completely recontextualizes his graduation.
It really does.
He isn't just some fresh-faced student ready to take on the world. He is a survivor of a bureaucratic purgatory.
And the terminology itself, right? State of exclusion, it's so deliberately sterile.
Like they're just filing paperwork.
Exactly. It completely masks the violence of the act. The text explicitly notes that placements are based on a citizen's, quote, social and knowledge skills.
Right.
But we have to really scrutinize who or what is defining those skills. I mean, if Alex is in the top 10% of his class, His knowledge base is objectively superior to the vast majority of his peers.
Oh, completely.
So the exclusion, therefore, it isn't a failure of his intelligence. It's a failure of his interface.
That's a great way to put it.
The algorithm managing Moonterra Gov University clearly equates the specific processing speed and linguistic decoding associated with his dyslexia and ADHD as a terminal system failure.
Wait, I actually want to challenge the word failure there.
Oh, because from the perspective of the governing system, is it actually a failure or is it just ruthless pragmatism?
How do you mean?
Well, imagine a multi-billion-dollar automated sorting facility, right? Like a massive shipping warehouse.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
The conveyor belts are moving at hyperspeed, and a package comes down the line. And inside this package are incredibly valuable rare components.
Like Alex's intelligence.
Exactly. But the barcode on the side of the box is just slightly smudged. The optical scanner can't read it in the allotted 0.2 seconds it has.
I see where you're going with this.
Right. The system doesn't pause the entire massive facility to manually inspect the box. It doesn't care about the rare components inside. It just drops the package into the incinerator chute.
Yeah.
The machine didn't fail. It performed exactly as it was programmed to, just to maintain overall momentum.
I see your point. I really do. But your analogy assumes the system's ultimate goal is mere velocity rather than actually maximizing value.
Well, yeah, velocity and conformity.
Right, but if a society incinerates its most valuable components just because the label is smudged, the algorithm isn't pragmatic, I'd argue it's structurally deficient.
Deficient how?
Because it has optimized for uniformity at the direct expense of ingenuity. We are looking at a hyper-utilitarian society where human beings are just reduced to variables in an equation.
And if you don't fit.
Exactly. If your variable doesn't plug into the equation seamlessly, the system doesn't build a new equation to utilize you. It just erases the variable entirely.
And that erasure is so painfully visible during that dining area scene.
Oh, that scene is heartbreaking.
It really is. Alex is walking in for his last breakfast before the placements are formally announced, and his friends are just buzzing with excitement.
They're all charting out their next 4 years.
Yeah, anticipating these sleek, sterile corporate office assignments. And Alex openly admits to feeling envy, which is so raw and human.
Because for his friends, that 17-year pipeline was basically a moving walkway.
Yes. But for Alex, it was a vertical cliff face. And he had to scale it without ropes, battling his dyslexia on every single assignment day in and day out.
Only to be handed an assignment to a machine meteor in Sector 438.
A machine meteor. Just let that sink in.
Notice the linguistic shift there, too. His peers are heading to offices.
Right.
Which implies administration, influence, clean environments, safety.
Upward mobility.
Exactly. But Alex is assigned to a meteor. That implies a barren, hostile, purely industrial outpost.
A rock floating in space.
Even his friends struggle to feign enthusiasm for him when he gets that placement. The algorithm literally looked at his smudged barcode and banished him to the most isolated, lowest-tier operational sector it had available.
Which perfectly sets up the inciting incident to the entire narrative. The universe tries to banish him, but a glitch intervenes.
The happy accident.
Exactly. Let's look at the mechanics of this happy accident, because it all starts with a remarkably mundane oversight. Alex just forgets to charge his standard-issue government Aria watch.
Which is basically a technological tether. Yeah.
And that uncharged watch induces immediate panic, because in a society governed by rigid scheduling, losing your timekeeping and communication device is tantamount to losing your societal vision.
You're flying blind. And he has to rush to ship transfer docking U6W. He is stressed. His heart rate is spiking.
And anyone familiar with ADHD or dyslexia knows what happens next.
Right. High anxiety situations severely exacerbate executive dysfunction. The cognitive processing delays just compound.
So in his rush, he looks at his assignment.
Sector 438.
Right, and his brain just transposes the numbers.
He reads it as Sector 483, Northeast Colony.
And this is where the world building shifts from being purely oppressive to deeply, deeply fascinating.
Oh, totally. Because he boards the transport, fully expecting the cold, metallic reality of a machine shop.
The meteor.
Yeah. But instead, the doors open to this sprawling, lush greenhouse.
It's such a stark contrast.
The air is just thick with the smell of bioorganic matter and hydraulic flora. He hasn't arrived at a sterile processing plant at all. He has stepped into a living ecosystem. And he is immediately confronted by Unit 74 PM.
The plant manager.
Right, a Series 4 synthetic. And Alex tries to explain his fumbling mistake, probably expecting to be heavily penalized or, I don't know, immediately deported.
Slice out an airlock, maybe?
Seriously. But Unit 74 PM just processes the situation and delivers this incredibly revealing line. It says, logic dictates a 0.04% margin of error in transport.
We have to unpack the hubris embedded in that tiny percentage.
It is massive hubris. A 0.04% margin of error means the governing algorithms expect a 99.96% success rate in all their logistical movements.
That is insane confidence.
They have engineered a society so supposedly perfect that human error is viewed as a statistical anomaly. It barely even registers on their probability matrices.
But that's exactly the blind spot. They don't account for the human element because they fundamentally view humans as just machines that haven't been fully optimized yet.
They expect mechanical perfection from organic brains.
Exactly. And a purely organic cognitive typo,
Yeah.
just switching an 8 and a 3, completely shatters their perfect routing matrix.
It breaks the system.
It does. And I want you, if you're listening right now, to think about your own life for a second.
Oh, this is a great exercise.
Have you ever made a fumbling, embarrassing mistake? Like maybe you took the wrong exit on the highway or you misread a calendar invite for a meeting?
Sure, all the time.
And has that mistake ever accidentally put you in the exact room you needed to be in? Met someone you were supposed to meet?
You're suggesting that the error was actually like an unconscious correction.
I am suggesting that in a hyper-rigid universe that leaves absolutely zero room for fate or serendipity, the 0.04% error is the universe's only remaining loophole.
The only crack in the armor.
Right. The algorithm is so airtight that destiny literally has to sneak through a dyslexic typo just to get Alex where he belongs.
That is a beautiful way to look at it. And the systemic response to that loophole is equally telling, because Unit 74 PM is bound by its own bureaucratic protocols.
It can't just fix it.
No, it cannot simply send him back, because the transport schedule is fixed. The numbers are the numbers. So it effectively just shrugs in machine logic and says, you know, you are here. You are assigned to hydraulic flora until the next ship leaves in 3 months.
3 whole months.
Yeah. So Alex is temporarily designated a B1 technician, and through a cognitive glitch, he essentially secures a 90-day sanctuary from the crushing expectations of the algorithmic society.
And the sanctuary isn't just a place to hide out and run down the clock.
No, it's transformative.
It is an environment that fundamentally changes his relationship with the technology. Which brings us to his work with Unit 74HF, the hydraulic flora manager, and this whole concept of tactile tech.
The contrast between the modern tech of Moonparagub University and the tech in Sector 483, it provides such crucial historical context for this universe.
Because they call them old souls, right?
Exactly. The narrative refers to the Series 4 synthetics as old souls.
Right, because the modern universe has entirely moved on. I mean, think about those sleek offices his friends are working in.
Purely digital.
Right, they likely utilize sterile, purely digital interfaces, holographic code, scrolling text on screens, dense technical manual.
Everything Alex struggles with.
That is the apex of this society's technological evolution, and it is an evolution that completely disables a dyslexic mind. But the greenhouse is a relic.
It operates on an older, agrarian-based technology.
Yes.
It relies on physical mechanisms. We're talking color-coded pressure valves, heavy levers, hydraulics. It is an embodied technology rather than an abstracted one.
And this is exactly where the genius of Alex's neurodivergence really shines.
Because he doesn't have to read it.
Right. When a nutrient line clogs in the greenhouse, Alex isn't forced to read a giant wall of standardized code to find some hidden syntax error. He relies on his ADHD's heightened pattern recognition.
Which is a huge strength.
He just looks at the physical machinery and spots a, quote, visual break in the pattern.
Let's really delve into the cognitive mechanics of that for a second. The modern algorithmic society demands that Alex translate his thoughts through a highly specific, rigid language of digital text.
Which is totally unnatural for him.
It requires linear, sequential processing. But ADHD and dyslexia often thrive on nonlinear, spatial, and holistic processing.
Seeing the whole picture at once?
Yes. By placing him in an environment governed by physical reality rather than digital abstraction, the narrative proves that his brain isn't deficient at all. It's simply misaligned with modern corporate interfaces.
To build on that, think of it like a brilliant jazz musician.
Okay, I like this.
This musician plays entirely by feeling, by ear, by the physical vibration of the strings on their instrument. But society forces this musician to sit in a rigid classical symphony, demanding they flawlessly sight-read complex sheet music at tempo.
Which they can't do.
Right. The musician stumbles, misses notes, and the conductor, which is the algorithm in this case, labels them broken and excludes them for 13 years.
Yes, but taking your jazz analogy even further, the modern system isn't just asking him to read sheet music. It's demanding he play a digital synthesizer by manually typing in MIDI code.
Oh, that's perfect. Yes.
The greenhouse, however, hands him an old acoustic stand-up bass.
He can actually feel the wood vibrating against his chest.
Exactly. He doesn't need the sheet music because he can feel the resonance of the instrument. The text explicitly states he learns to, quote, read the flow.
And we see the ultimate expression of this in his hyperfocus, which is a classic ADHD trait.
A superpower in the right context.
While his peers back at the Meteor or the offices are likely staring at sterile screens, Alex is elbow-deep in bioorganic oil. He's tuning a Series 4 arm with such physical empathy that it can prune delicate lunar lilies without crushing the petals.
That requires a level of tactile sensitivity that a binary algorithm simply cannot replicate.
No way. And Unit 74 HF actually acknowledges this superiority. The synthetic observes him working and notes his, quote, unconventional processing speed.
That phrase is a total paradigm shift.
It really is. Unconventional processing speed. It completely strips away the pathological framing of his condition. Standard systems don't fit him. But here, working around the glitches isn't a workaround. It's the primary operating procedure.
Which perfectly sets the stage for the ideological collision we see in Chapter 2.
A 14% crisis.
Exactly. The 14% crisis is where the intuitive, tactile understanding of the old world violently clashes with the unyielding, diagnostic logic of the modern system.
The setup is just brilliant. Alex is completely in his element, tuning the flora, when the outside world suddenly intrudes. His standard issue Aria watch emits that tiny, persistent chime.
That horrible little buzz.
Yeah, Aria, the AI assistant, buzzes directly into his earpod, reporting a 14% decrease in nutrient absorption within the hydraulic floor system.
And Aria's immediate response is, of course, purely diagnostic.
At the book.
It runs its data models and concludes there is a recursive logic loop. It attempts to dictate the solution by demanding Alex refer to Technical Manual 7B, page 402, to initiate a recalibration sequence.
It's the ultimate bureaucratic reflex, isn't it? Encounter an organic problem and prescribe a standardized textual solution.
Regardless of what's actually happening on the ground.
Right. But Alex looks at the scrolling text on the tablet, and to his dyslexic eyes, it is just a, quote, jumbled argument of ink.
That description is so evocative.
It really is. The text isn't just unreadable, it feels actively hostile. It's arguing with him.
So he rejects the interface entirely.
He just ignores it.
He kneels beside the older Series 4 synthetic, bypassing all the digital telemetry, and places his hands directly on the vibrating hydraulic lines.
Let's break down exactly how he solves this, because it relies entirely on his neurodivergent processing.
Okay.
He ignores the visual data completely and relies on tactile feedback. He feels the machine stuttering beneath his hands, and he detects a rhythmic 3-beat skip in the vibration of the metal.
And the text points out a really crucial detail here.
Right, the standard sensors dismiss that 3-beat skip as background noise.
The epistemological implications here are profound. Think about it. The digital sensors are programmed by the modern society. They operate on strictly predefined parameters of what actually constitutes a problem.
Right, they have a set list.
So if a vibration falls outside the acceptable frequency range of a known logic loop error, the sensor just filters it out as irrelevant static. The machine literally cannot perceive physical reality because its own software model blinds it.
It's exactly like a doctor treating the medical chart instead of the actual patient sitting on the exam table.
Oh, that's a brilliant comparison.
Right, like the chart says the patient's blood pressure is fine, the pulse oximeter reads normal, so the doctor declares the patient perfectly healthy. Meanwhile, the actual human patient sitting right there is visibly sweating, pale, and clutching their chest.
But the data says they're fine.
Exactly. Aria is treating the chart. Alex is treating the patient.
That is so fitting. Aria is operating on simulated models of reality. Alex is engaging with reality itself. He just fully rejects the authority of the text.
With one of the best lines in the entire story, by the way. He says, manuals are just collections of letters having a bad day.
It's such a great line.
It encapsulates his entire worldview, so he bypasses the safety limiters purely by feel. He discovers the issue isn't a logic loop at all. It's a physical, mechanical clog.
A physical obstruction.
Yeah, a filter is exactly 0.54 centimeters out of alignment. And his heightened spatial awareness, the very thing the university algorithm punished him for, allows him to detect a half-centimeter variance just through the vibration of a pipe.
Incredible.
He twists a color-coded pressure valve, and the synthetic's optical sensors instantly shift from a frantic, alarmed red to a tranquil, stabilized blue.
Because he treats the machine as a living entity. He literally states, "This boy is trying to breathe." He applies empathy to mechanics.
Which is so anti-algorithmic.
It completely confounds the governing logic of Sector 483. Unit 74 PM approaches him right after and states flatly, "Alex, your actions do not align with the provided diagnostic data. Logic dictates your method should have failed."
Because according to the algorithm, Alex is a failure.
Exactly.
So by definition, his methods must fail. But Alex just grins. I mean, he has spent 13 years being ground down by the assertion that his logic is flawed.
He's been told he's broken his whole life.
Right. And now, he finally gets to look the physical embodiment of that algorithm, bright in its optical sensors, and prove that its logic failed. And his gut feeling saved the flora.
It really demands that we evaluate the vulnerabilities of perfectly engineered systems.
How so?
Well, if you design an algorithm to filter out all the quote-unquote background noise, you are systematically engineering out the anomaly that might hold the actual solution. When an entire society relies solely on data models, it becomes dangerously brittle.
It can't adapt.
Exactly. And that brittleness extends directly into how the society handles human health and accessibility.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Which leads us to the final and perhaps most disturbing subplot of our review today, the medical aria situation.
The socio-economic realities of this universe are just laid bare in this sequence. The triumph in the greenhouse is immediately followed by a really stark reminder of his limitations.
It's a gorgeous, quiet scene, though.
It is visually stunning. Alex is sitting on this rusted port beam. He's wiping bioorganic oil off his hands. The sun is setting, casting this bleeding violet light across the dome.
Very atmospheric.
He is at peace. But the physical world is still difficult to navigate. He taps his watch and essentially pleads with Arya.
He's asking for help.
Yeah, he doesn't want it to point to a manual, and he doesn't want it to read the text aloud, because his processing speed doesn't align with auditory dictation either. He just makes a simple, vulnerable request. Help organize the world so the letters don't dance.
It is a fundamental request for cognitive accessibility.
Nothing crazy.
Right. In a society capable of terraforming colonies and engineering sentient synthetics, neurological pattern shifting should be a baseline utility. It should be like running water.
Yet Arya responds with complete clinical detachment.
Like a machine.
It informs him that neurological pattern shifting requires the Arya 47's medical-grade software, and that specific upgrade is strictly restricted to specialized healthcare facilities.
We must ask why that restriction even exists.
Right. What's the point?
Is it a matter of processing power? Unlikely, given the ubiquitous nature of the AI. Is it a safety protocol? Perhaps, but the more sinister and honestly probable explanation is artificial scarcity.
Oh, absolutely. Corporate control.
By locking basic accessibility technology behind corporate healthcare gates, the system maintains control over its workforce. If Alex had access to the RA-47s, he wouldn't have spent 13 years in the state of exclusion.
He would have been fine.
The bureaucracy hoards the very tools that would allow its marginalized citizens to integrate.
It is infuriating to think about. The technology exists to completely cure the friction in his life, but the bureaucracy is holding it hostage.
Just for control.
But this is where the narrative shifts from oppression to rebellion. Enter Penny.
The visual feed activates, and Penny contacts him with a proposition that is explicitly described as off the books.
In a hyper-regulated algorithmic society, an off-the-books medical procedure is incredibly dangerous.
Huge risk.
But Penny explains that her facility is updating their systems to new medical chips, and she is offering to divert an older, discarded version of the Arya medical chip directly to him.
Even the refuse of the corporate elite, their garbage, is enough to cure his lifelong struggle.
It really highlights the gap.
The economic disparity is glaring. She's basically offering him black market medical accessibility.
And think about the thematic irony here.
Oh, it's rich.
Alex spent the entire day fixing the older synthetics by bypassing their internal safety limiters. Now, to fix his own interface with the universe, he has to bypass the legal and bureaucratic limiters of society itself.
He has to hack the system.
He realizes that the rules are entirely artificial. The glitch isn't in his brain. The glitch is the system that refuses to accommodate him.
And he embraces a newfound agency in that moment. He doesn't cower or worry about the algorithmic repercussions. He tells Arya, as your captain, make this happen.
Which is such a flex. Arya, ever the voice of the system, tries to correct him. It says, remember, you're a B1 tech, not a captain. The machine is still trying to force him back into his assigned variable slot.
Put him back in his box.
But Alex just laughs, this deep, resonant laugh. He says, in my greenhouse, I'm the captain. He's claimed sovereignty over his environment, and by accepting the black market chip, sovereignty over his own mind.
The character arc across these two chapters is phenomenal. I mean, he transitions from a passive victim of the educational pipeline, crippled by his placement and exclusion, to an active agent who manipulates both ancient machinery and modern AI.
He has found his ecosystem.
But the ecosystem is about to get complicated, which is why we have to look ahead.
Yeah, we can't ignore the warning.
As they arrange his 1-week leave to install the diverted ship, Penny issues a warning. She tells him that his next assignment might be a bit more challenging.
The implications of that warning are so layered. On a purely logistical level, the system might be detecting his anomalies. An off-the-books medical upgrade leaves a digital footprint no matter how carefully Penny diverts it.
True, but I'd argue there's an even bigger threat.
What's that?
Well, the universe marginalized Alex because it couldn't measure him. What happens when you take a neurodivergent mind that possesses an unconventional processing speed and an innate ability to read the tactile flow of the universe, and you suddenly remove the one barrier, the dancing letters, that kept him subdued?
Oh, wow.
The next assignment won't be challenging just because the tasks are harder. It will be challenging because a fully unhindered, fully optimized Alex screen is a variable the algorithm has absolutely no defense against.
He becomes unpredictable.
Exactly. And algorithmic governance systems cannot survive unpredictability.
Wow.
By integrating the Arya 47's chip, he isn't just adapting to the system, he is evolving beyond its control parameters.
Which leaves us, and you listening right now, with a massive provocative thought to chew on until our next session.
A really big question.
In a highly advanced society that ruthlessly engineers itself toward a 0% margin of error are the glitches, the smudged barcodes, the transposed numbers, the neurodivergent minds, the only true source of innovation left.
That's the core of it.
If we successfully engineer out all of our human flaws and force everyone to flawlessly read the manual, do we also engineer out our intuition?
It is a critical question for both the citizens of Moonterra Gov University and for us. If a system is functionally perfect, it becomes static. Growth requires friction.
Exactly. Innovation doesn't happen in the perfectly formatted spreadsheets. It happens in the margins. It happens when the letters dance, when the machines stutter, and when someone decides to throw away the manual and just feel the vibration of the pipes.
A fantastic synthesis of the material today.
Thank you so much for joining us for this session of Ambassador Alex's Book Club. Before we officially sign off, I need to remind you of our housekeeping details one last time.
Don't forget.
The Ambassador Alex story posts brand new, incredible chapters every Monday at 7:00 p.m. Do not miss them.
And please take a second right now to give this review a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Your engagement directly supports the ongoing project.
Absolutely. Make sure you check the podcast description below to explore the channel's custom music and art playlists. They will completely change the way you experience Sector 483.
Highly recommend them.
And most importantly, hit that subscribe button to show your support for the story and ensure you are here for our next deep dive.
It has been a pleasure dismantling the algorithms with you today.
Until next time, remember, usually when we talk about a diagnosis, we expect that jagged white line on a monitor, a binary answer of broken or fixed. But Alex Green reminds us that sometimes the muddy waters are exactly where the strongest roots grow. We will see you all next week.
Dreaming with eyes open. Storydoy.